Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. Um, I want to reply to this. There's a comment in my video about Troxel versus Granville. I'm actually glad to see the Troxel versus Granville video got over 1,000 views. My average video views nowadays are just a few hundred on YouTube. And I don't know if I'm getting shadow banned or got people complaining or what. But uh, I mentioned the Troxel versus Granville case, but this guy's comment epitomizes what's wrong with men nowadays and why men are getting screwed and why men have trouble winning or prevailing in court. Because first of all, when you go to court, it takes some balls to do that, and you got to put in some work. Even if you have an attorney, you have to put in some work. So you don't get an entitled. Let me go this straight. You don't get an entitled diva mentality. Your entitled diva mentality doesn't get rewarded. So, in the Troxel versus Granville case, I took like 8 minutes to get to the actual case. But while I was talking about it, I thought, people don't know about Troxel. And when they look at case law, they don't know what the numbering means or how to find this stuff. So I thought I'd seize the moment to talk about a basic fundamental thing that you also need: how to read case law or the citation and where to find it in the law library and how it works. So I talked about that, and the guy was pissed that it waited 8 minutes. Now, it's Pat Mack something, 5310. Pat Macken, 5310, I think. So there's another guy in there. He points out, that I start talking about the case at 8:05. That's what people usually do on videos. Like if somebody, advertises a video as here's the topic and they wait a while, people just who read the whole video will put the time in the comments. So that guy who made a comment and showed where I actually start talking about the elements of the case or the most important parts of the case, that guy wasn't an entitled little diva bitch like Pat Macken was. So, and Pat Macken didn't say anything too harsh, but he was like, if you're going to talk about the case, talk about the case. You don't talk about this and that. Well, I did talk about the case. This is the thing. If you're pissing and moaning and crying, there's several elements, there's several layers to this onion. So, but if you're pissing and moaning and crying because it took me 8 minutes to get to a point of a diamond, of a jewel, or of a gem of information that you need to fight for your life with your kid, if you're mad that you had to wait 8 minutes for that, and you've been out here paying an attorney $400 an hour to not even tell you that basic, fundamental, elementary thing to your rights, you're kind of a really impatient, welfare bum mentality, entitled little diva bitch of a male with a whole lot of feminine energy. Now, maybe the guy doesn't have a family court case, and maybe he doesn't care, and he was just watching for educational purposes. I don't know. But I come across this a lot of times, like people shut up or even get to the point. They'll say that on TikTok people would say that when TikTok was limited to 3 minutes. Usually what happened, and then he's like, and then the video got cut off. Well, I did the video originally on TikTok, and instead of me, like my main intro video, it's a little bit outdated. My video, the number one argument for 50-50, and some of my more cleaner cut videos, I sit down and I use a regular camcorder instead of my phone. I'll put this on YouTube. I'll take some extra time with that. But I don't have as much time for all that nowadays. I'm usually arguing with guys over why I don't have to do this for free. And I'm arguing with guys. They'll say, oh, I need an appointment anywhere from like 7 to 8:30 p.m. or whatever. I'm like, well, can you pick a time? Well, 7 or 8 is, just make those. I'm like, You can't make a time with me and have me on call all night, and I take out half of my day, especially when I'm meeting with you late at night. So I'm sitting here arguing with guys about just, like, not arguing, but I'm going back and forth. Sometimes I'll go back and forth off and on for a total, like an hour of time trying to communicate with somebody just to get them to pick a time. My gender's so indecisive and so, it's just so abnormal. You don't get to just call a secretary at the doctor's office or the dentist's office and talk with them for an hour about when you're going to have, and I got a lot of stuff going on, and at that, well, 7 o'clock I might be late because I got time with my kid. Then don't schedule it at that time. Anyway, I'm usually dealing with that stuff all the time, so I don't have a lot of time to make videos precise and perfect the way, or I wouldn't say perfect, but a lot better. Like my evidence rule video in my store. It's probably the most important thing I offer anybody among all the free stuff or the paid stuff. It's probably my evidence rule video in my store. Everybody needs that, whether you got an attorney or not. If you don't understand the evidence rules, those are the rules to the game. If you don't understand that you can't travel, or in basketball, you can't hit anybody out of bounds in football, you can't punch below the belt in boxing, then you shouldn't even be stepping into the arena or the ring. If you don't understand the rules of evidence to court, you shouldn't be stepping into court, or you shouldn't walk into court with your attorney, because you need to be making sure that your attorney is doing their job. So I have videos that are, the evidence rule video, that took me several days over the course of a few weeks when I could find time to do it. So instead of doing all that for every video, I actually just do videos on my phone, because the information that I give a lot of times, if I'm not just ranting and telling guys to grow balls, which is actually golden information you need, because I'm waking you the heck up from the false reality you live in. Most of the videos, the content of what I'm saying is worth more than what you pay your attorney in an hour. So if you have to wait 8 minutes to get some golden information, so be it. And again, when I was about to do the TROXEL versus Granville case, it came to me, you know what? People don't even know how to, like, when I posted 530 US, what is it, 57, some people wonder, like, what is that? I walked away when I first learned about case law. I walked away. It took me like a year to get it down. Like, which one is the volume? Which one is the page number? And why do they structure it that way? So I wanted to get something fundamental on there. If I'm talking about case law, I want you to understand how to look up case law, what the citation is, and where to find it in the law library, so you get some basic fundamental understanding. Kobe Bryant used to practice, you see him, highlights of him practicing basic fundamental V-square dribbling, like dribbling the ball from right hand to left, just crossing in front of his body. You don't see him only practicing the super fancy stuff. Sometimes if a coach is teaching you something, they need to go back to the fundamentals. So if you got your panties in a bunch because it took 8 minutes because I laid the foundation of something, this is what's wrong with my gender. You guys can't sit and wait a few minutes for something. And there's been some videos where I've actually told you, or I've even put in the comments, okay, I don't really talk about that until this point. Or warning, I go on a little bit of a rant because everybody's being a little sissy and not wanting to fight and not wanting to, whatever. On that TROXEL versus Granville video, actually, let's look at it. It's 8 minutes long before I start talking about the elements of it. Autonomy, with the raising and the care and custody of your kids, and then the presumption that that a fit parent acts in the best interest of a child, and then you don't have to disprove or prove that presumption. Those are a few things in the TROXEL versus Granville case. If I just said go read TROXEL versus Granville, I would be giving you enough advice. or information. But I tell you the most important thing out of there and the most fundamental thing that's useful in court. And then just by telling you that and pointing that out, I'm sharing with you one of the greatest arguments you can make to the court. Your Honor, you have to assume that I act in the best interest of my child. That argument alone is 100 times better than most of the stuff that you guys have been arguing or that your attorney's been arguing. Because you guys go in there, the court will give you supervised visitation because the child's too young, or you don't know what you're doing, or this is your first child and the mother has 3 children. Well, under Troxel versus Granville, that cancels all that out. I just gave you a universal argument from the United States Supreme Court, constitutional case law, that trumps a whole bunch of stuff that you've been losing on, that you should have argued with that hearing that you lost. Or for those of you guys who jumping on it early or getting on the offensive early, I'm giving you free game for something your attorney won't even bring up. You got to light a fire under your attorney and tell them about Troxel versus Granville and tell them to use it. There's a Supreme Court case in Washington, and it's in my flow page for all you people in Washington. The best argument from the the Washington Supreme Court in Washington State, the best argument for a dad who's going for full custody, when the mother says, "Oh, I've been the primary caretaker," the Washington State Supreme Court says that's not a factor. The court, the law in Washington, the quote is, the name of the case is Kovacs with the case. So if you're in Washington State, and some of you outside of the state, you can always use case law in another state. It's not mandatory, but it could influence the court. But Washington State Supreme Court said in the Kovacs case that there's no presumption of custody of the primary caretaker. And most states should adopt that, because if you think about it, if you withhold the kids, you're an alienating parent. And and you withhold the kids, you force yourself to be the primary caretaker, so you can automatically win by doing something in bad faith, like alienating and withholding the kids. So that's not fair to do that. So they're not going to reward somebody who had the kids. In Washington, there's about 25 total factors under RCW 2609-002, 187.3, 004, 191. So, but my point with that is that I see lawyers all the time go to court in Washington and say, the mother's been the primary caretaker, you should give her custody. And the courts go, okay. And the dad's attorney does not cite Kovacs, even though it's a Washington State Supreme Court case that's been around since 1993. That's 3 decades. And these numbnuts attorneys are not fighting it. If I'm a dad, and I didn't even know Kovacs, I found it later. Working with guys, writing paperwork. I didn't even get it at a law firm. If I'm in court now and they say, "Oh, my client's been the primary caretaker," I'm going to tell the court, here's free game I'm giving people again. But if you're Pat, I forgot what his name is already, Pat Macken 5310, you'll get your panties in a bunch because you had to wait 7 minutes and you didn't get a fast food drive-through immediate digital. I mean, you act like a middle school cheerleader diva who just wants everything at a push of a button. The stuff I said in the beginning of that video is valuable, basic, fundamental information. If you already know it, then just be patient and wait. You know, if you already know how to do a crossover and behind the back dribble and stuff like that, and you're at a basketball camp and they're teaching some basic stuff, you just have to wait. That's just the way that it is. I don't care if you hit dislike. I'm out here giving people information that you're not getting anywhere else. If you want me to sit down and make videos for free with a 4K camera and edit it and splice it and cut it down and make sure I give you segments and breakdowns and all that other stuff, Go to Judge Anthony for $650 an hour and see if he even does that. He has a bunch of kind of casual videos. I'm sure he edits them and cleans them up. $650 an hour. He can afford it. I'm sitting here giving you guys free game. Stuff that I've done that works. I've never heard a single person ever tell me once. I've dealt with 20,000 cases in over 20 years. In 23 years, I've never seen one single parent that I've dealt with say, oh yeah, my attorney cited Troxel versus Granville. And your bitch ass is crying because you had to wait 8 minutes for it? If you think about it now, I didn't think it was that bad until I started talking about it. There's some bitch ass little punk, little sissy, little divas following me, getting pissed that they didn't get, that I didn't come knocking to their door. Hey, it's Amazon delivery. I got a delivery for you. Here's Troxel versus Granville. How may I help you? Where do you want me to start first? I got an audience of 5,000 people here. There's people here who are just coming on the page. Oh, Troxel versus Granville? What's that? U.S. Supreme Court case law? Or how does that work? Why do they have the number? I'm giving some fundamental stuff. Do you mind? You prissy little diva, narcissistic, self-centered little bitch made everybody needs to cater to me. Feminine energy. This is what's wrong with my gender. I'm sitting here, I got a page full of gems and golden information and treasures, and you still want to piss and moan about 8 minutes. And if you're in family court, I'm sure you've already spent $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 on an attorney that didn't do jack squat for you. Now, maybe you did all right. I don't know, but the odds are you're on my page because you got royally screwed after spending $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, $100,000, $150,000, and you're pissed you got to wait 8 minutes for some free golden information that your attorney would never even tell you. That's even dumber than I thought it was when I first glanced at it. Now, it'd be nice in a perfect world if, if every follower or subscriber on my YouTube channel donated $1 a month, which would be no sacrifice to any of you guys, I could crank out all kinds of video and just do videos and do free information and stuff like that. I've gotten probably 3 donations in 20 years of doing this stuff and being out there and being on the internet and having a donate button on a website I have. I've had a few different websites. And prissy little bitch made divas like this guy are gonna cry about 8 minutes. Why don't you do a campaign and say, hey, we all need to donate to James so we can do more of this stuff. In any case, I see the leading case in Washington not being cited by attorneys. I've never seen somebody cite Troxel versus Granville or anybody tell me that it's been cited. And it's the starting place. And you're mad because it took you 8 minutes to get there. And I'm still giving some fundamental information. Now, maybe you already knew about case law and how it works and how you read it and stuff like that. Sorry. And that's fine, you click like, but just the entitled attitude in diva. Like the other guy said, hey, James doesn't start talking about this till 8 whatever. That's not offensive to me. He's helping giving somebody a shortcut. Or if you would have just said, hey, if you're going to title it, can you throw in like another subject that you're talking about or try and give us a breakdown or something. If you would have asked nicely, but this entitled bitch made you got your panties in a bunch and you're showing your little thong that stuck up your butt because you're mad because you had to wait 8 minutes. That's ridiculous. And then the other thing is, go read the damn case yourself, lazy ass. Go read the case yourself. But see, here's the thing. I gave you a shortcut. If you went to read Troxel versus Granville, you would have no idea what to really get out of that except, oh, I have rights to my kids. You would not have grabbed the autonomy thing. You would not have grabbed that the court has to presume you act in the best interest of the child. You wouldn't have grabbed the fact that that could be applied to anything. When they try and take your kid away, restricted visitation, they don't trust you. The kid has separation anxiety, or the kid is young, or the kid has a disability. All that is trumped by Troxel versus Granville, and what I pointed out, that you have to presume I act in the best interest of your child until you have proof that I dropped the kid before, knocked the kid on his head, abused the kid. I don't have to prove what you need to presume. That was golden in and of itself, and you're pissed you had to wait 8 minutes and you spent $50,000 on an attorney probably. You can screw off, you entitled little diva bitch. I don't care. And if you unsubscribe my channel, I don't care. And if a few people unsubscribe, I don't care. Because the real ones who really want to fight, who got some balls, can hear this out and see what I'm saying. This is the problem with my gender. Sometimes it's going to be tough. Sometimes it's going to be hard to find information. But when you find a shortcut, you should be glad that you found a shortcut. And I don't mind constructive criticism. Hey, James, why don't you throw in it? Like I said, throw in a couple titles if you talk about two major subjects. I could probably do that now that I think about it. But the main point was Troxel. And yeah, it took me a minute to get there. But again, go to all the other pages that are, oh, wait, nobody else is doing this out there. And especially not for free. Judge Anthony's doing it $650 an hour. Hit him up.